Today's video is going to be incredibly informative. We are focusing on how to locate, how to catch, and how to cook a black crappie. That was a beautiful drive. I don't go snowmobiling just for the sake of going snowmobiling, but I do like when the lakes I go explore involve these cool trails. And we weren't the first ones to break trails, so that makes it a lot easier. It's cold today. It's like -25, so we're gonna try to fish outside. We're just gonna try to hop around. We might even hop around lakes today. But we need some introductions from the other boys fishing with me. We alluded to Peter last time. Peter,
I'm Peter.
Peter's the new Chief Catch Cook Officer. What does that entail, Peter?
Well, basically, I'm joined Jay and Josh and you know, helping them with everything catch and cook that they need help with. And so far it's been everything from helping to set up accounts to get everything ordered for product and make sure we're all set for the season, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you guys some more new flavors and exciting stuff to try.
Peter gets to come fishing today, so that's a nice job perk. I don't know how many crappies do we each eat 2 crappies? 8, 10, 15 crappies between us? How many we need, Brandon?
A lot.
Typically with panfish, they're smaller fish. A giant crappie is 16 inches. The ones we're catching today are probably gonna be in that 10 to 13 inch range. So overall, you're fishing for smaller fish. You're not gonna use that 40-inch lake char rod with 30-pound test. You're gonna be downsizing because we're gonna be using little baits, light line, that sort of thing. Sometimes these fish can be very tough to feel their bites. The small jigs as well can be tough to feel the jig if you're going too heavy. So we're gonna go on the lighter side of things. I would say anywhere from that ultra light, medium light. This is the setup I'm gonna be using. This is a 36-inch light. So you can see that light tip to feel the bites, right? That's important for these small jigs. And then light line, I'm using a fluorocarbon leader. This is so the fish can't see it. So this is that chunk of clear line. You're going on to braid. The nice thing about braid is you can get, let's say you're fishing 25, 30 feet of water. There's no stretch to it, so you feel every little pickup, every little bite. So we're using, I think this is probably 8-pound braid, but anywhere from 4 to 8-pound braid is perfect. Right now, we're gonna drop down. We're fishing in about 29 feet of water, and there's a pot of fish down there. The next thing that will help your odds greatly, and as far as different fish species go, if you're gonna have electronics for one species, it's probably gonna help the most for panfish. Look at this fish racing up already. That was, I think, 6 seconds maybe. There we go. Number one, as I said, we are gonna keep some for dinner, so that's a nice, 10, 11 incher. For the pan, you wanna fish here, Peter? All right, dropping down so far. 6 seconds of fishing and 1 crappie, so we're off to a good start.
I will join you, Jay.
All right, come on down. So typically when I'm dropping down to these fish is I'm trying to stay a little bit above them, trying to get them chasing up. Crappies like to feed upwards.
It's like this moderate game of keep away, where you're trying to sort of like get the fish really interested and then keep it away from him a bit and then hope that he
get him fired up.
Gets fired up and makes that commitment.
Peter's dropping into a bunch of fish as well. You'll notice some of these fish too, they have a ceiling, so they'll chase your bait a certain amount off bottom and then they'll kind of get stuck.
You caught the hungry one right off the bat. Eh?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this guy's coming.
That looks like a bit of a better fish too. Nice. Oh yeah, that's what we're at. That's what we're seeing down there. There we go. This was better than the one that I was messing with for a while there, but this is still not a very big crappie. But he'll taste really good. You clean them when they're this size, Jay?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Where are you?
One of the best ways to find bigger crappies is to find crappies that are unpressured. I have a feeling that these fish get fished for a little bit, so I think that stunts the growth a little bit, but there's a number of factors too. Some lakes just don't have big ones. So with how light these fish bite, as I was talking about rod selection, you can get away with catching a big fish on a small rod. It's not ideal. If you were using a pool cue, a big Laker rod right now, you would have a heck of a time feeling the fish bite, because sometimes it's just such a light pickup. Because sometimes what these crappies will do is they'll come and they'll lift your jig. So once that fish engages on live scope, I'm kind of just doing a light tap and raising. And sometimes you'll feel it go slackline. So as much as I'm lifting the jig to try to coax that fish into biting, it's also so I can tell when he lifts it up. 15 feet that way. So the beauty of live imaging is on a big featureless spot like this, it's a little easier. That's a good line. You can find these pods of fish because it's very common that crappies will pod up. But the thing is, there's different patterns. Historically, the pattern that I've been on most of the time is the deep basin bite, basically being those deeper holes. I'm not saying like 60 feet because I don't think the crappies really like the holes that deep. It's, you know, relative to how deep the lake is. Sometimes the hole might be 15 feet deep, sometimes it might be 30 feet deep. Right now we got right around 30 feet, but it's this collection point of bugs. It's often a muddy bottom. You can catch everything in these spots, but you know, crappies love them. Right now we're kind of catching them at the edge of the hole in about 30 feet. It does drop down to like 35 behind us. With live scope, you're able to scan, you're able to find where those pods are. You're probably right on a fish or two. Yeah, you're right on one, Peter. Just keep tapping it on the spot. You could get lifting a little bit. He's all over you.
Oh, there, oh.
He looked really big. Does that?
Shut up.
You still got him on?
Is he above me now?
Yeah, he's kind of flickering. He looks hurt.
I hurt him. I hurt him badly. It's gonna be a very small crappie. I'm just trying to catch these little crappies to help tow that
pike over.
Pike over.
Aggressive one right off the bat, right?
Oh, and Peter's on.
This one might be eating size. Oh yeah, I'll take some fillets off of that one.
There we go. Thanks for bringing that over. Just moved to a new spot and they started smoking them. Good eater right there. The move made all the difference. I was not on aggressive fish. I moved 30 yards away, set the scope down and started smoking them.
We found more black crappies. The biggest one in the pod. Normally you pick off first. I remember Aaron Weeb saying that many years ago, and there's definitely truth to that. So I'm doing the slow raise. Smells like dinner. Crappies are fun because once you get on them, fun for kids, fun if you just want to set the hook a bunch. That's what I'm using right here. This is a 5mm tungsten, frostbite plastic on there. But tungsten's nice because you keep that small profile, but it's heavier, it's denser than lead. There's a lot, and they look bigger too.
They do, don't they? This one looks good. Come on, please eat it. Please eat it. Yeah.
Maybe we found the big ones. Bigger, that's the biggest of the day probably.
Yeah, I'll make it look not quite so cold. It's a beautiful day.
Come on.
There you go. Woohoo! Beautiful.
Whatever this is, it just scared the other fish away. Ooh, I think it's a nicer one. Oh, it's coming back.
There we go.
Wow.
It came back and spanked it that time. That wasn't a light bite. There we go.
There's a nice pod here. As long as you don't lose them. Just don't lose them, whatever you do.
Oh, man. I did not lose him. I had a gear malfunction. He was already in the hole, and he's the biggest one of the day. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it pays to be lucky rather than good, even when you have a failure.
Nice, Peter.
Yeah, there we go. And when their mouths are all full of slush like that, what you want to do with them, just so that they work really well in the hot oil, you just put them right behind you in the snow.
Yes, I'm fishing out of the transducer hole. Better average size here for sure. We've got the catching part figured out, and I think, how many shore lunches do you think you've cooked, Peter?
Oh my goodness.
Probably more than me.
3,000 shore lunches?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Racing, and it looks like it might turn into something big. Oh!
Hey, there we go. Well,
Peter caught the most, the biggest.
And lost the most. All right.
We got it.
That's the deal.
Step one
Let's do it.
Is complete. Next time you see us, we're gonna be at the Fillet Shack, AKA my kitchen. So Peter lives in Canada, Tony lives in the USA. We're gonna see if they have different ways. Well, I think we were talking on the ice. There's kind of two ways you can cut a crappie, and you guys will show each.
We sort of agree on the way that we prefer to clean a crappie. That we like to leave the rib cage on the fish, and we sort of carve the fillet off of that rib cage. However, there's two ways to do it. You could take that rib cage right off with the fillet. So we're gonna show both ways, give you an idea of which way you might end up with a little bit more meat on the fillet, but that it might take more practice. All right, so this first method would be to take the fillet right off of the crappie. And you have to go through some pretty thick rib bones. This is why this is maybe not a preferred method. First of all, because...
Wow, what's that knife cutting through the ribs?
This is a catch and cook knife, Jay.
Oh, wow.
So the difficult thing with crappies is trying to get it really close to that backbone and taking all the ribs off with it. So as you saw, as I was trying to saw to get through each one of those ribs, it's very easy to let the knife slide up and lose a whole bunch of meat on that backbone. So it's not a very easy technique to do, but and it does dull the knife a little faster, but it's more common that people would clean fish like this. All right, so those fins came off with this one, so you don't want to remove any fins that come off with the fillet. The same idea, you should almost be able to see through that backbone when you're done with it, almost translucent. Now you have to take the rib cage out. So taking that rib cage out, there's a small pin bone, and we call that, well, I guess many people just do call it a pin bone, but you have to get through that one now too. And so it's just trying to get through that with, and you can hear the knife kind of as it cuts through those little bones. So that takes off the rib cage. The tough thing about this is getting maybe the max amount of meat. As you can see, I went pretty close to the skin on that one. Let's see if I can do a bit better job on this fillet. But I'm basically trying to keep the knife as close to those ribs as possible. That one went a little bit better. So we're eating these tonight. I'm gonna take the fillet right off the skin.
Yeah, if you're traveling with it, then sometimes, typically you need to leave a little skin tag, a little like 1 inch by 1 inch piece of skin, because otherwise you can't tell what type of fish it is, so.
But as it stands, we're eating these tonight. So I'm gonna take that right off. And now that pin bone, I told you I was trying to cut through it, so that pin bone is still in this fish. We wanna remove that. Now you have a boneless crappie fillet, and that is the way to do one of them. So no big holes or gaping spots in the meat there. That's the ticket.
All right, so I like to go over the bone when I clean my fish, right? The knife lasts longer. For me, it's quicker just because I'm used to doing it. It's super simple and you just have less bones to deal with. I like to make a cut. You can see right here, the gill plate. I like to come back from the gill plate up toward the head. There's still meat up there. Right here, that's a good thick part of the meat, the shoulders. And then you take just the tip of your knife. You're not gonna go in much more than that. You're gonna go down the spine, and you can kind of see my knife is hitting the top of the rib cage, so that's where you stop. And you're just using the tip, and you're just using easy pressure. And I'm kind of feeling for those ribs, and then now I'm through them. So you can see I push my knife, I'm behind the ribs end about here. I angle it down a little bit as I'm going towards the tail, and I just slowly work it towards the tail. And then I come back. You gotta be careful with this because you're coming back towards yourself. So you always wanna cut away when you can, and I angle my knife down, and I'm pulling this part back to get pressure on it. Then all you gotta do is nick it with your knife. And you can kind of hear I'm going right up over the top of the ribs. And then you're gonna kind of roll your knife over the ribs as you come down just to free that meat. And I'm pulling with my left hand at the same time. And that pressure makes the meat come off really easily. You can kind of see right there, I can clean that up, and I'm gonna just go right over the rib cage, and then I'll finish my cut down here. And I'm pulling, makes it real easy. I'm just gonna cut when I get down there by the stomach to free it. I'm gonna take that down as far as I can go, and then again, I'm gonna angle the knife down. And it's nice, this knife has a little bit of flex in it, so it's nice to kind of push the knife down. I can feel there's a little bit of the lateral line left. We're gonna have some kids eating tonight, so we'll just get those all out.
Just like that.
Super easy. Works with walleye, perch, bluegill.
Here we have the full lineup.
The flavors.
Gluten-free is the most recent for those of us that are gluten intolerant, but tonight we are doing lemon pepper, and we're gonna try mixing with spicy, something I've heard many people do. I know Clayton Schick does it fairly often.
We're gonna batter this doing a dry, wet, dry method. The first dry dip is gonna be in the spicy batter, and then we're gonna go into milk, and then back into a dry lemon pepper batter, and we're gonna pack that on there nicely so it provides that nice thick coating. And when that hits the deep fryer oil, it'll provide that nice crispy crunch that is what we all look for, which is what Catch and Cook is famous for. So what I do, if I'm gonna use this whole bag, is I just start tossing fillets in here, and then I shake them in here and I get them out. So this makes it pretty easy. Put 4 or 5 in there at a time. If I'm gonna reseal this bag, I definitely don't wanna do this. Sort of a shake and bake method. All right, and so the next one here, lemon pepper, super popular and super tasty.
All right, oil's right around 400. Whew, she's bubbling. We are doing lemon pepper fries. We always do the smoked salt this time. We're doing some lemon pepper fries, switching it up.
we got a fish fry. Catch and cook. So this stuff right here is the lemon pepper with the spicy underneath, and this is just straight spicy, double up spicy. We've taste tested a couple of these. This one turned out amazing. I'm just gonna show a little reveal of a piece like this. On the inside, you can see a little bit of that reddish color come through. Real delicious. The sample, it is amazing. Just a little bit spicier than the lemon pepper.
I didn't really talk too much about the cooking, but with oil, aim for that 350 degree range, but I always like to have it a little bit hotter before I put the meat in or the fries, because that's gonna cool things down. So I aim to get it up to 400. I drop everything in, normally drops down to like 350. You know, when I was guiding, one of the biggest mistakes was not having your oil hot enough. That is a bad way to start off your fish fry. Make sure your oil's hot and you get crispy fish. There we go. That is how to locate and catch and clean and cook black crappies.
Catch and cook!